All right, welcome. This is DB talking now. DB talking birds. DB talking Philadelphia Eagles. I did do a stream earlier, and kind of just in the mood. Could not get enough, so now we're doing a live stream, and it's open conversation, people. So whoever decides to join in, obviously we have the scroller, we have the ticker down there, scrolling down there at the bottom. Open conversation. We can talk about anything that you want to talk about. Talking about anything and everything Eagles that is going on in the NFL world currently. And I guess I'll go ahead and start us off. We will talk about this Matthew Stafford trade for Jared Goff, how the Rams traded Jared Goff and 2 first-round picks for Matthew Stafford. Look, my opinions on that trade were documented in my previous stream. I'm going to continue to talk about them. I think it was an absolute shitty mistake for the Rams. Honestly, I do not know what Sean McVay was thinking when it came to that trade. I just really don't. Now, obviously, Matthew Stafford is about. I can't tell you the exact age difference off the top of my head, but I believe it's about 7 to 10 years. 7 to 10 year age difference. Matthew Stafford is 7 to 10 years older than Jared Goff, and it's not like Jared Goff had a horrible season. I understand he didn't have his best season. He was injured, and here's the thing. Look. Ever since the Rams incorporated the pairing of Sean McVay and Jared Goff, they've been a winning organization. They've gone to the Super Bowl. They lost a really tough, close game to the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl. And then they went back to the playoffs this year. So, I guess it would, like I mentioned in my previous stream, it would be a little bit more explainable if it was a player-for-player swap, because I do think that Matthew Stafford might be a little bit more of an upgrade over Jared Goff, but is it going to make or break the franchise? Is Matthew Stafford gonna take them to the Super Bowl every year? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Is Matthew Stafford worth 3 first-round draft picks, which is technically what the Rams just gave them in order to acquire Matthew Stafford? No, of course not. But apparently the Rams thought that Matthew Stafford to this day is still worth 3 first-round draft picks. Insanity. Absolutely insanity. I mean, yeah, my opinion is that the Lions won this trade. The Lions absolutely won that trade. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The Lions, if they can get substantial play out of Jared Goff, and I do believe that Jared Goff will be the starter in Detroit, then they have an extra 2 first-round draft picks that they can use on other positions. Or they can use those 2 first-round draft picks to move up and do whatever the hell they want with those 2 first-round draft picks. So my opinion in the early tenure of Dan Campbell being the head coach of the Detroit Lions, he's doing a pretty phenomenal job so far. So right now it looks good for Deuce Staley, because Deuce Staley is the assistant head coach, running backs coach for the Detroit Lions. So we'll have to see where they go from there. Now, what does that trade do for Carson Wentz's trade value? There are obviously insider reports saying that if the Eagles decided to put Carson Wentz on the trade block, there would be GMs all over Carson Wentz in the trade market. I believe that. Carson Wentz is a valuable quarterback. I believe Carson Wentz is a bit better than Jared Goff. Here's the thing, though, is if we're comparing Carson Wentz to the quarterback trade that just went down, and obviously that's exactly what GMs around the league are going to do. That's how they're going to gauge the trade value of other quarterbacks like Carson Wentz, like Deshaun Watson, like Aaron Rodgers, if Aaron Rodgers does get moved, if Carson Wentz does get moved. they're going to compare them to that Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff trade. It's just going to happen. The thing is that our GMs around the league gonna value Carson Wentz more toward Matthew Stafford or more toward Jared Goff. That's the big question going forward. Here's the thing with that. Here's the thing though with that is that Jared Goff obviously is he's been in playoff games. He's won playoff games. He's been to a Super Bowl. Whereas Carson Wentz has only started one playoff game and did not get out of the first quarter. Probably only played in 2 offensive drives. I don't even think that he finished the second offensive drive. I think that Jadeveon Clowney gave him the concussion in the second offensive drive for the Philadelphia Eagles last year. So, whereas, I mean, Matthew Stafford hasn't played in a lot of playoff games either. But he's got the numbers to back it up. That's the thing. He's got the numbers to back up his trade value. Whereas Carson Wentz does have the numbers a little bit, but is coming off an absolute horrendous season. So we'll just have to see. I don't, honestly, my faith in Carson Wentz staying on the Philadelphia Eagles for this next season has dwindled quite a bit over the week. I would say that I have less faith in Carson Wentz staying on this team this week than I did last week. And a lot of that is part due to the Nick Sirianni press conference. And obviously, and when I say that, I'm referencing the fact that Nick Sirianni did not want to comment on who the starting quarterback is going to be. And obviously, I did mention this in my previous stream, which is we just don't know if that's true or not. Obviously, Nick Sirianni has had conversations with both Jalen Hurts and Carson Wentz and multiple other players as well. But so, I mean, he could have privately made a decision. But my guess is that he probably told both of them that, hey, we're still evaluating and we'll see where we go. But we're probably going to have you guys battle it out. And that probably didn't bode over well with Carson. Here's the thing. I think Carson just needs to get over it. He's a new head coach. It's a new staff coming in. I think that he just needs to tell people, I'm going to fight for my job. And I'm going to do everything I need to do to prove you guys wrong. And I don't think there would be anything wrong with that. I don't think that there would be anything wrong with that. And it's a wonder as to why he has not done that yet. I think a lot of the fans, pretty much 95.8% of the fans, want to hear him say that. And for some reason, he just hasn't come out and said that, unless he actually does want to get traded. That's the possibility, is that he does actually want to get traded. Now, obviously, there have been reports that Zach Ertz is going to head to Indy, going to get traded to Indy. And what is Zach Ertz's trade value at that point? I don't think it's a first-round draft pick, guys. So that doesn't mean the Kyle Pitts thing is a go. That doesn't mean the Kyle Pitts thing is a go if Zach Ertz gets traded to Indy. It just doesn't, because I don't think we're gonna get that type of return for Zach Ertz. I think it's gonna be either a second round pick or a third round pick, depending upon the placement of the pick within the round. But I think if Zach Ertz goes to Indy, I think a second round pick is very likely. I believe that the Indianapolis Colts have the 18th pick in the draft, if I'm not mistaken. So the 18th pick in the second round wouldn't be quite bad, I would say. The 18th pick in the second round could net us a Dylan Moses. You know what I mean? The 18th pick in the second round could net us Dylan Moses. So for those who just joined, we're just kind of having an open conversation, talking about anything and everything about the Eagles currently going on. But yeah, if Zach Ertz does get traded to the Colts, we can, maybe it will most likely be for that second round pick. So Again, this is DB talking now. DB talking Birds. DB talking Philadelphia Eagles. AJ Styles says Kyle Trask. Kyle Trask. Kyle Trask. Really? You want Kyle Trask? Yeah, no, it is an interesting thought. Kyle Trask is an interesting thought. I guess that ties us. I mean, there's ties there to Brian Johnson. Obviously, Brian Johnson coming over from the Florida Gators to be the QB coach. The one thing about Kyle Trask is I do understand that Brian Johnson did turn his season around. I wouldn't put a second round value on Kyle Trask. What do you think, AJ? What do you think? And currently we are talking about the fact that Zach Ertz might get traded to the Colts. I'm valuing him at a second round pick. And if the Colts trade their second round pick to us, I believe that would still be the 18th pick in the second round. So Kyle Trask could be there. I mean, that might be a pretty solid choice in the second round. But then again, would we do that because we just took Jalen Hurts in the second round last year? It's always it's a possibility. Would they double dip like that? Obviously, as I mentioned in my previous stream, I wouldn't want to trade Carson unless we attempted to go unless it was for a first round pick and we made a strong attempt to go and get Trevor Lawrence. Now, obviously, I understand that the chances of that are slim to none. And so basically that goes ahead and tells you that I just don't want to get rid of Carson Wentz. I don't want to move on from Carson Wentz. I want Carson Wentz to be on this team, but my faith in him staying on this team this week as opposed to last week has slimmed quite a bit due to the Nick Sirianni press conference and the fact that this trade just went down between Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff. The Rams of all people. Now, it is a bit shocking because it is the Rams. But honestly, I did initially become suspect when I saw Sean McVay's final press conference at the end of the season. I was a little taken aback because the one thing that he did say was everybody's going to be in evaluation. And so I was like, what? That doesn't sound too good. And lo and behold, something big just happened. They just traded Jared Goff. Huge idiotic trade in my opinion. Huge idiotic trade. So Dan Campbell and Deuce Staley and those guys in Detroit are winning at this point in time, because they'll probably be able to do anything that they want with those two first round draft picks, especially if they're able to get Jared Goff playing at a substantial level as well. So obviously, as I mentioned before in the previous stream, the Eagles did go ahead and hire Denard Wilson to be the DB's coach. Let me know what you guys think about that. I mentioned that I don't think too much of it. Obviously, he is the ex defensive backs coach for the New York Jets. And as we all know, the New York Jets have been absolutely horrible for pretty much the majority of the decade. But he joined them in 2016, I believe, but they've kind of ranked anywhere between 16th and 21 in pass defense over the last 4 years. So not too excited about it. I honestly am not too worried about it either, because I'm pretty sure that Jonathan Gannon is going to have his fingerprints pretty much on the entire defense, being a former secondary coach himself. So not too worried about that. Just with that fact, though, my question is why? Like, why would you hire a guy who falls in the 17th to 22 range as far as secondary rankings? Just doesn't make any freaking sense. Other than the fact that he just happens to be 39. What is he, 39 or 37? I couldn't remember. I think he's 30. I think Denard Wilson is 37 years old. So he does kind of coincide with that entire youth staff movement that apparently is going on. The new special teams coach that we have too is 29 years old. And I just had a birthday on Thursday and I turned 30. So he's younger than I am. So that says about as much as whatever Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman are thinking. You know what I think it is? I think there is a bit of puppetry going on. And the younger these guys are, the higher the chance that they can just tell these guys what to do. I do think that that's actually going on. I really do. And that's a shame. It really is a huge, huge shame. Kyle Trask. Maybe AJ. Maybe. I don't know how. I mean, obviously Brian Johnson's probably going to put some feelers in there, probably going to tell the staff. He's probably going to talk to Shane Steichen about Kyle Trask. That's probably going to happen. He's probably going to talk to Nick Sirianni about Kyle Trask. They might just like Kyle Trask already, and it could have been a reason for why they brought Brian Johnson in as well. So especially if they trade one of these quarterbacks, and I do think that they're going to trade at least one of them. I don't know how I see Jalen Hurts or Carson Wentz. I don't see a scenario where both of them are staying, especially with the reports that came out a couple weeks ago about how Howie Roseman said that he wasn't the one who drafted Jalen Hurts. It was Doug Peterson. I don't know how that sat well with Jalen Hurts. So if it's Jalen Hurts, maybe Kyle Trask can come in and back up Carson Wentz, or vice versa. Either way, I just don't see Nate Sudfeld being the guy. So we will have to see how that plays out. But honestly, my picks, honestly, as the draft positioning stands at this point in time, is we have pick number 6, obviously, and do I think it's Jalen Hurts? AJ, do I think it's Jalen Hurts? Do you mean do I think it's going to be Jalen Hurts is going to be the starter, or do I think Jalen Hurts is the one going to be traded? If it's do I think Jalen Hurts is going to be the starter? No, I don't think Jalen Hurts is going to be the starter. No. Definitely not Nate Sudfeld. That's not going to happen. I think Nate Sudfeld's probably going to get cut in camp. That's what I think. No, as I was saying, do I think Nate? Not in a million years. Not in a million years, AJ. That'd be funny. That would be great if it were Nate. If Nate Sudfeld somehow showed starter potential, it would be phenomenal. And the reason why I say it would be phenomenal is because he's on a really cheap contract, and it wouldn't cost us that much money, whatsoever, and we'd be great. But yeah, no, I don't think it's going to be Nate Sudfeld. But as I was saying, pick number 6, if Jamar Chase is still there, then I think that he's the guy. And for our second round pick, it depends on how the draft plays out, obviously, but I'm growing. Asante Samuel Jr. is actually growing on me. Did go to Florida State, obviously, and is cornerback. It does play cornerback, obviously, like his father, Asante Samuel, as we all know and love, or used to love. And he's a pretty adequate cornerback. So I think he would be a good selection with our second round pick as well. And then Dylan Moses, linebacker Dylan Moses. That's my hope. I want to bring one of these linebackers in to the linebacker room in Philadelphia, because we deserve it. As fans, we deserve to see some good linebacker play. We've been waiting forever and ever and ever and ever and ever to see some good linebacker play. I was just talking with a fellow Philadelphian the other day, and we were talking about the early defenses, from the earlier years. We're talking about Buddy Ryan, and then we're talking about, the Jimmy Johnson defenses and stuff like that. And back in the day, we always made an effort to make sure that the defense was loaded. And we were talking about Clyde Simmons. We were talking about Reggie White. We were talking about, Wes Hopkins, and we were talking about Eric Allen and those guys, and how the secondary, the linebacker core was just absolutely loaded, and the defensive line was absolutely loaded. We were loaded on all three levels of the defense. And then when Jim Johnson took over, we continued that. We continued that cycle, and from in the 5 to 6 year to 7 year run that we had with Andy Reid. We had nothing but great defensive line play. We had nothing but great linebacker play and secondary play. I mean, you think about it, you had Hollis Thomas, you had Hugh Douglas, you had Corey Simon, you had Javon Curse, you had a linebacker, you had Jay Trott, you had Mark Simoneau, you had Ike Reese, you had these guys, you had Al Harris, you had Sheldon Brown, Lito Shepherd, you had Michael Lewis, you had Brian Dawkins. Like, what the hell are we talking about here? Who do we got on defense like that? We don't have, we got Darius Slay, Fletcher Cox. We just traded for Darius Slay. Who else you got? Brandon Graham. I mean, I love Brandon Graham. I really do. But he is no Hugh Douglas. You know what I mean? He's not a Javon Curse, right? He's not Reggie White. You know what I mean? Like, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Howie Roseman wouldn't know how to fill out a defense if his life depended on it. And we need to get back to that. I'm tired of it. We need to get back to that. There's a couple moves that this team can make to fix this offense in a hot second. But they need to spend some serious time on the defense. And that's what I think. And so, Micah Parsons at pick 6 would be great. Do I think it's going to happen? No. But, if you can get Dylan Moses and Asante Samuel Jr. with a second round pick and your third round pick, I think that they'll need to trade up to get Dylan Moses, to get both of them. But let's just say, for say's sake, it'd be great. It'd be absolutely great. And they can really do some damage if they try to go, if they make it a priority to go after safety Malik Hooker in free agency, because I don't think the Colts are going to re-sign him. Anthony Walker would be a great pickup as well. The Colts might re-sign him because he has showed a lot of potential, but there are moves to be made. And they can make them. I understand that we're still in cap hell right now, but I expect Howie to work his magic, his Howie magic. If there's anything that Howie Roseman is good for, that is it. So I am waiting for the day. That Howie Roseman dwindles the cap deficit that we're in right now and gives us the ability to make some moves. That's what I think will happen. I do want to touch on Carson Wentz again, just for a second. Obviously, Angelo Cataldi and Ian Rappaport did talk about this with each other, is that the Carson Wentz the contract is not going to keep him from being traded. So all of that talk about that being a factor from keeping Carson Wentz from being traded is just a no thought at this point. And we kind of just saw that we kind of just saw an example of that between Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford. Jared Goff's contract is bigger than Carson Wentz's contract. Matthew Stafford was making a little bit less, but clearly those were no factors whatsoever. Now, obviously, those teams aren't as big in cap hell as we are, but it's still significant, it's still pretty significant. So there is the possibility of that happening. To be honest with you, AJ, just to talk about a comment that you left earlier, is do I think it's going to be Carson Wentz who gets traded? Look, the guy could easily come out and say, I'm going to work my ass off and prove you guys wrong. He can easily come out and say something like that and say, I'm going to prove you guys wrong, and everything's going to be, and he can just shock the league. He can easily come out and say that. Why hasn't he come out and said something like that? It's that simple. I mean, I'm pretty sure most of the fans want him to come out and say that. 95% of the fans want him to come out and say something like that. If he came out and said something like that, I'm sure that it would ease the minds of most fans, and we would be like, nice, Carson, nice. That's what we wanted. We wanted some fire. But he hasn't done it. Why? Maybe he actually does want to get traded. And if that's the case, then he could be going to Indianapolis. And it would make perfect sense because that's where Frank Reich is. That's his guy. And if Carson Wentz can only play with one guy, and I've said this before, if Carson Wentz can only play with one guy, then go away. Go away, dude. Just go away. Look, I defended Carson to the utmost throughout the entire season. And I still have a ton of faith in Carson. But I do also believe this. He needs to come out and fight for his job. It's a new head coach. It's a new coaching staff. It's time to put up or shut up. It's time to come out and say, yo, this is my team. This is my city. I'm going to show you why this is my team. This is my city. Not sulk like a 2-year-old, kid. Just fight for your job, dude. Fight for your job. I know it sucks. I know it's irritating. I know your former head coach and Doug Peterson became incompetent and didn't understand how to use you. But show us that. Give us some validity. Justify that for us. Show us you can still kick some ass. You know what I mean? On that note, I'm gonna call it a night. This is DB Talking Now, DB Talking Birds, DB Talking Philadelphia Eagles. Hey, if you guys have any more questions, comments, or concerns, leave everything of that nature in the comment box below. Please like, subscribe. AJ, thank you for joining me again, fella. It's always good to see you in here. Gonna have to get you some merch when we come out with some merch for sure. And I will be coming out with some merch once I boost those subscribers up, I promise. And you're going to be the first one on the mailing list, my friend. But one love. Have a beautiful rest of your Sunday evening, wherever you are. If it's already Monday, happy Monday to you, AJ. One love. Go Birds, baby.